Welcome back. You're still tuned into Trading Hour. TruAlt Bioenergy. The stock is on our radar after the company signed an MOU with Andhra government to set up sustainable aviation fuel manufacturing facility with a total investment of 2,250 crore rupees. Vijay Nirani, who's the managing director at TruAlt, is joining us now to discuss this and a lot more. Vijay, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Can you give us a sense of what part of this investment will you be making in the sustainable aviation fuel plant? How will you be funding it? And what is the typical asset turn on such plants? Because we don't have a big market to cater to for sustainable aviation fuel yet. So give us some timelines on this one.
Thank you so much, Sonal, for having us on your show. This is a very dear project to us. We're super excited for the sustainable aviation fuel journey for India and in the global space to take off. And we are very happy to be one of the early movers in the space. Our idea is to set up one of the first plants and the largest plants in the country. So we've chosen Andhra Pradesh thanks to the ICE policy, the Integrated Clean Energy Policy that the government of Andhra Pradesh has. And we're also discussing with them to get better packages in order to help us set up the plant, because this is a very high capex that is required. So we plan to set up a 10 crore litre per annum sort of a capacity at a cost of close to 2,200 crores. And we're looking at an asset turn of almost 1 times the total capex. That's broadly about 2,000 to 2,200 crores of top line that gets added to TruAlt's financials post the plant getting commissioned.
Okay. And how will you be funding it? Will it be completely done by the company, or will you, will it be a JV with some other company or with the government? If you can give us a sense of that as well.
So we've got multiple JVs, or rather, let's say at this point in time, they are MOUs. Some of the MOUs have been executed and some are under advanced stages to be executed. For example, Sumitomo is a large Japanese entity who has a lot of exposure, or rather who wants to get into a lot of sustainable businesses in India. And Sumitomo and us are already in a JV to set up multiple CBG plants. So with them, we also have this exploratory on the SAF plant that we intend to set up. We are also in advanced discussion with a large airline carrier to be one of the JV partners into this, and also a large public sector undertaking. An oil marketing company also could be one of the partners for us to set up the plant. And again,
how much will you be investing in this, Vijay, then? Just trying to understand how will it impact the balance sheet.
Yeah. So the idea is, it's as of now, there are still a lot of moving pieces into this. We plan to bring in a mix of debt and equity. And because there are a lot of incentives that could be coming into our way, so which is why debt is an essential part, because most of the incentives are only going to offset the debt if we have any. Otherwise, we end up losing out on a few of these incentives. That said, we plan to hold somewhere about 51 to 55% of stakes into this JV. And the balance 45 to 49% will be split between either 2 or 3 partners that we could have in this building.
Well, Vijay, have you zeroed in on the amount that you are going to be investing? You mentioned moving parts, but there must have been some amount that you would have committed, right? If there is so, how much of it would be debt? How much of it would be equity? If you could share, give us a breakup in more specific terms.
I think it's a little premature for that because we're still negotiating with multiple partners. So the idea is the cost is not going to exceed 2,200 crores. It's the upper ceiling. And we are hopeful that the cost could come drastically lower also. That said, we have had this estimations done on a preliminary basis, which gives us a figure of almost about 2,250 odd crores. And for us, one thing is for sure that we are not going to hold anything less than 51 to 55%, somewhere between that range.
Okay. Vijay, now this is about the sustainable aviation fuel, and you said there are a lot of moving parts. So let's talk about the ethanol business overall. You did transition into an all-year ethanol production company, and that is why Q2 numbers were very weak. We saw a big decline on a YY and on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Now that this has come on stream, what kind of numbers are you looking at? FY25 revenues were at 1,900 crore rupees. In the first half, you've done 456 crore rupees. What are the targets for FY26 and FY27 with this transition that has come by?
So on the first business, you're right. We had about 4 or 5 months of a mute period. 3 out of our 4 operating plants went under a construction phase. We could not utilize the capacities, and it was an intentional decision to take the plants under shutdown. So now, very recently, in the beginning of October, we have commissioned most of these plants, and they have been put to use. So usually in the earlier years, the Q3 and Q4 have been heavy years. I mean, the business timed for us, and the same will continue for this year also. So Q3 for this year and Q4 for this year will bring in a lot of larger revenues. And we've also very recently received the CFO for our Unit 5 in TrueVault. So all 5 units have now been put to use and are in operation as we speak. So in the last 3 years, TrueVault only has about 3 years of history. And over the last 3 years, we've been growing at almost about 50-55% year on year. But because we had about 4 or 5 months of shutdown this year, we may not be exactly at 50-55% year on year CAGR, but we will be close to that number. So there will be a good growth from last year.
Now that you've moved on to this transition, what is the current utilization levels, and do they increase going into the second half of the year?
That's exactly the idea. So we want to keep increasing utilization. So if you calculate utilization based on the operating days, we should exceed somewhere between 80 to 85%, jumping from almost 45 to 50% in the preceding years. But however, there are challenges around the ethanol allocation and ethanol offtakes, which I'm sure you've had discussions on your shows as also. We as TrueVault are trying to mitigate all these challenges and ensure that we have an assured marketplace to supply at least 50-55 crore liters on a yearly basis.
Take that point, Vijay. Always a pleasure speaking with you. A lot more questions, but we'll take that for some other time. Thank you so much for joining in today with your insights on the business outlook going forward. With that, we move on and get your quick programming note. If you're looking for the big bets and market themes for 2026, CNBC TV 18 Access gives you direct access to White Oak Capital AMC's Ashish Somaiya and Prashant Khemka as they share their winning market themes and actionable investment strategies. Ask your questions live on 28th of November at 1:30 p.m. Become a member today on the CNBC TV 18 app or log on to cnbctv18.com/access/plans.